Namaste. Today we have with us respected Sir Venkat Rao Garu, who has worked with State Bank of India for 30 years and retired as Assistant General Manager. Later on, he has been rendering services to many people with the one aim to serve for the well-being of others, as well as the main motto being live healthy lifelong through yoga, acupressure, and nature cures programs. And he has been behavioral trainer who has undergone guidance for 3 years through correspondence under Sri Dayananda, Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji. So today we have him with amongst us. So respected sir, namaste. I would like you to guide us through the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, as I know you conduct many programs in field of Bhagavad Gita and Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So your journey with Bhagavad Gita, how did it begin?
Thank you very much. Om Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. It's very interesting to share with you, Shanti, how I got into this Bhagavad Gita learning. My experience is 30 years in the bank. I was branch manager 3 terms: small branch, medium sized branch, and large branch. As you know, the problems in the branch are very many. And then small problems in small branches, a little more in the medium, and then large branches, several problems. So I was struggling with the problems in the large branch. Then I thought, is it to say we have to live like this all the life in the bank? Is there any way? One day I ventured to enter into the banking hall, leaving my cabin, not sitting in the cabin. Then, so I observed a few days, if I am coming in the banking hall, 2 good things have happened. One thing is the staff are alert. They don't leave the seats and chit chat. They serve the customers. And another good thing that has happened is on the other side, I'm able to see the customers, and some of them VIPs, lawyers, doctors, and some leaders in the town. So I used to greet them, how are you, sir? So why are you standing there? Come to my cabin, I will give you personal service. So some of them I picked up and gave a cup of tea and all that. They were happy. Meanwhile, my attender used to get their work done. So customers are happy. One very small incident I would like to share with you, a funny incident. What was happened one day, one VIP customer handed over, went to the cashier to take the cash. He has to hand over the token. Those days, no ATMs. So he was not handing over the token, demanding the money from the cashier. And the cashier is saying, sir, please give the token, then only I can give you cash. That fellow says, no, you give me the cash, I'll give the token. So I observed, then immediately went there. I thought of an idea. I remembered how the smugglers hand over the trust between the smugglers. One fellow hand overs the material, another fellow hand over the suitcase simultaneously of cash. So problem was solved. The ego of the customer was satisfied. And the cashier also did not come down. Yes, branch manager has given me respect. That way I solved the problem. So this way I used to make more friendly with the customers. There are difficult customers. We have to tackle them. That is enough. All others will wait. Then second front is the staff. You know, in the banks, the staff are very united. They have big, very strong unions. So it is very difficult to get work done by them. But I observed everywhere in the society, there are 10% of good people. We have to rely on them. So I used to take their help and reward them. You have to reward the good people. Simply taking service will not help. Then second one, 10% of them will be there. And 10% of the people in the bank are always troublesome, whatever you do. But in between the 80%, what they do is they observe whether anybody is getting reward for good work or anybody troublesome are getting the punishment. I used to do both. Then this 80% also slowly locked on to the 10% best. 90% are with me. What the 10% will do? They follow. See, 2 friends. One battlefront has one from the customer side. Second battlefront, I say battlefront really, is from the staff members. And third battlefront is bosses. They have only one thing. If you fulfill the targets fixed by them, they're happy. A little more target, more happy. So I used to do both because I got the customers front and I got the these staff members. Third front, three fronts are over. Now one front is there. That is the government officials. Government officials also very easy to satisfy them. They have got some government loans, some percentage. You fulfill them small loans, and then they are happy that you are fulfilling the targets. So they used to come to the branch, take a cup of coffee, and go away. No problem from them. And politicians in the town, people are afraid. Branch managers, no. I used to invite them to the branch to disperse small loans through their hands and publish in the paper next day. So and so MLA has come and given the loans. They are so happy. And four battle fronts, I used to win like this. And at that time, as you said, Swami Dayananda Saraswati communicated that he is conducting a correspondence course of 3 years. I thought this is a very good chance for me. Then I underwent the course, and Swamiji used to send the articles every month, a few articles and explanation. The beauty part of it is, Shanti, I have to share with you this Bhagavad Gita. He used to explain how it can be implemented in your daily life. I thought I have implemented in the bank, so we can implement everywhere. Thereafter, I got my promotion very easily as a regional manager, and posted one more chance, that is a trainer in the State Bank College, very prestigious post. And one more thing they did is, seeing my behavior, they trained me as a behavioral science trainer. This added to Bhagavad Gita. I got both. Now I did excellent work for 7 years as a trainer. I got the reward of, I was sent to Egypt to mend the attitudes of the Egyptian bankers who never go to villages. They want to work in the city. So I got good opportunity. I was rewarded by the bank. This way, I got into Bhagavad Gita learning, and also experienced how Bhagavad Gita can be implemented in daily life. This is it.
That's great, knowing the details of your journey. And sir, it's when we apply that we reap the joy of knowing any subject, and it's really nice. So would you please throw some light upon the teachings of Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, here I come. Many commentators say Bhagavad Gita teaches Bhakti Yoga, it teaches Jnana Yoga, it teaches Karma Yoga, it teaches synthesis of yoga, it teaches the art of living. No, not at all. Bhagavad Gita itself says what it teaches at the end of each chapter by a way of a colophon. Colophon means a statement at the end of each chapter. What does they say? Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishnarjuna Samvade. What is the meaning? Theory, practice, implementation, or realization. Now it is like theoretical physics, practical physics, and its technological implementation. You don't have to search anywhere else what it teaches. It says itself. At the end of each chapter, please read it, not as a sloka or mantra, but to understand the meaning of it.
Yes, sir. So every chapter at the end, it comes with along with the name of the chapter, it goes that. So that is it easy for everybody? Can you brief us what is Brahma Vidya in simple terms?
It is the science of the absolute. Our individual learning is conditioned by the laws of physical nature, by the laws of society, and thoughts of other people. But to think in an absolute fashion would be to recognize the total structure of the absolute in an atom. For example, to see the whole government in one government official. That official sits there. For us, he is the government. What else? And Brahma Vidya is the science and art of educating oneself in the manner of correctly perceiving the world as such. That means seeing things as they are. We must see the whole, we miss. What happens is, I will give one example. There is a white wall. So you observe the wall and there is at the center, there is a black dot. Anybody asks what is there in the wall, you say black dot. You are missing the whole whiteness just for a small black dot. So it is waste of life if you do not observe the absolute in everything you see, in everything you feel, and in everything you think about. This is Brahma Vidya.
The example you have given has helped to understand the topic more nicely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
nice. It's with the examples, it's more easy to understand. Nice. Sir. So, is it possible for everybody to understand or learn this Yoga Shastra?
Yes, it is very easy because now theoretical physics has to lead us to the practical physics. I think you are a MSc graduate, science graduate, you understand better. We can bring the integrality in our daily lives. We have to be total person always. We cannot be a whole person in the office and a part person in the home. Okay. Daily application of our consciousness, our minds, and our attitudes to anything in the world. Now I'll give you one more example. We have to tune up to the radio station of God, but our wavelengths are very feeble. Now what we have to do? If we tune up the properly, we can contact God. Thinking God, praying God, feeling God, imagining God, one day we will realize God. In itself, Bhagavad Gita, he has given 18 chapters. What are they? They're all yogas. What is Sankhya Yoga? What is starting with Vishada Yoga? Everything is a yoga. Karma Yoga is given. Jnana Yoga is given. Bhakti Yoga is given. Atma Sayama Yoga, what is given? To total mind control. The entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but Yoga Shastra. I think, is it clear, Shanti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To say that the union, every chapter is explaining us how to attain that oneness state of oneness.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Gradually, it is telling, starting from Karma Yoga, then leading to Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and synthesis of Yoga, as they say. So, gradually, it leads us to learn the entire Yoga Shastra of Sri Krishna, Bhagavan.
So, Bhagavad Gita was a conversation between Bhagwan Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield. So,
Yes.
their conversation is given us through Bhagavad Gita. So, how can you just little more throw light upon how that conversation would help us towards realization?
Yeah, very right. First, we have to know, then we have to practice, and later we can realize. Outside God, nothing exists. What is the distance between us and the God? It is a distance-less, limitless contact. In the 11th chapter, you will observe the entire realization comes to Arjuna by seeing the absolute. In all particulars are given in the absolute. So total universe is given, total people are given, total picture of the universe is given in the end. That is the nothing but realization of God, Vishwarupa Darshana. So I don't want to say the sloka, repeat the slokas. That may take more time, but Vishwarupa Darshana gives the realization. Now, to conclude, I want to sum up briefly. Animals are programmed for their entire life, but human beings are not programmed this way. Okay, physically, up to the time you grow as an adult, you are programmed, but you have a free will to exercise. So, by exercising free will, a Purusha can become a Purusha, Uttama Purusha, by pursuing what Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. When you pursue Artha and Kama, you have to do karma. if you do karma yoga by adhering to dharma, that will lead us to moksha. So that Bhagavad Gita displays before us the structure of the universal law that applies everywhere. Though it is revealed in our country, it applies everywhere. It is not only simply a holy book, it is a holistic book. If that way, if you read Bhagavad Gita, which will tell us the theory, practice, and realization, it is very easy to achieve the moksha. People say moksha, moksha. Moksha is not going to heaven. Moksha is mukti, freedom from what? Freedom from all your difficulties. It is excellently solving all your problems if you understand, try to understand Bhagavad Gita. All the greatest people in the world, including Mahatma Gandhi, used to say, whenever I'm in trouble, I just read one sloka. I used to get my motivation. That's how I have gone. I have got the freedom from India for India. So many scientists, even Einstein said, yes, I've learned so many things from Bhagavad Gita. So many people have got benefit. We also will get the benefit if you properly approach it, not playing Bhagavad Gita. So many people have Bhagavad Gita in their house, somewhere tucked up. It is never seen. It is never read. And people have one very funny notion. Whenever somebody dies, they play the Bhagavad Gita songs by Ghantasala. This is how you use the Bhagavad Gita. It is not for that. It is for you to achieve what you should achieve in the life. Is the total goal of life. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, sir. It was really enlightening conversation with you. And as like you told, your journey has began and how you have implemented the teachings of Bhagavad Gita into your day-to-day daily activities. I'm eager to know more about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Hope you would bless us with those teachings of Bhagavad Gita and help us all towards the journey Bhagwan Krishna has given us.
Yes, we shall continue this. Every chapter, we will take the highlights of it, highlights of each chapter, and we will discuss about that. And as I promised, I will explain how each principle of Bhagavad Gita we can apply in our daily life, and by quoting, giving the examples. And your questions also will lead me to many thoughts for me. And I take motivation from you also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your lovely conversation. See you soon. Namaste.
Namaste.
Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Om Tat Sat.